Hello everyone, this is Dwayne and this is the InBizness Under the Hood video. I have a separate video which talks about all the features of this FileMaker solution and the complexity behind it and all the business related opportunities and solutions that it provides. This video is a look under the hood to look and say, okay, well, we have a FileMaker solution that has too much going on, quite frankly, but has it organized in such a way that it's approachable both from a user and from a developer who would be maybe taking over the reins. And this is available open source. Just reach out to me if you're interested in that. So let's quickly go into, and I guess that you may want to see the feature version of the video first. But, again, if you're just interested in the tech, just look at this one. I'm going to start by going to the custom menus because, again, you can see that we do have custom menus throughout. We do have like all the FileMaker or most of the FileMaker that a user level would have underneath the general menu. So these are where your copy, cut, and paste, keyboard shortcuts work, that type of thing. There is another one they're called Help Within Business, which would bring up a separate menu with a help file. Again, 27 different help topics, for someone to go through and edit it. And then again, a platform that if a developer gets this and extends it, they can use that infrastructure to help document and communicate the changes in the solution. So let's go right into those custom menus. And so here you can see they are in alphabetical order after the main. They are basically, the same format as it goes across. I do use uppercase a lot because I do lean into anchor buoy or anchor buoy methodology, for lack of a better term, on things outside of the relationship graph and certainly within the relationship graph. So again, you can kind of see them, and if you dive into them, you can see that they're all standard. And this version of it, this is based off of a 2008 solution that I built. And that time I incorporated video training inside of there. And those were linked to a website that I don't have anymore. And it was a very extensive amount of logic. It was easier for me to remove the links to those movies than it was to fix them. And actually, some of the movies I don't even think I have anymore. So again, this kind of organized structure, taking something that was embedded in multiple places, I was able to remove it and do testing and ensure that the solution itself doesn't sacrifice. So like when I removed the movies, there'd be a not available or no longer available. I was able to go quickly down this list, remove them from the relationship graph, remove them from scripts, that type of thing. So let's jump into some more of the meat. If we go into the Manage Database, and let's jump into the tables. And it was a little spoiler on the relationship graph. So in here you can see that I do use uppercase, and again, that's because I lean heavily into the anchor buoy. There are over 55 tables inside of this file. And you can even, just by eyeball over here, say, okay, yeah, it does look like he does use anchor buoy quite a bit. So let's go ahead and dive down inside of like the clients module, which has 118 fields, quite a number of fields, but definitely not any kind of record as fields go inside of a table. But it's up there. You can see that I do use lowercase and underscores. Like here, all the billing address fields have a B underscore. And again, that helps when you're searching for things. You can just quickly go, or when you sort, grabbing it from pick lists. This type of naming convention helps me immensely. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but again, kind of showing the attention to detail in my programming. So like the billing addresses have a B, and then if we go on down, we can see that the shipping addresses all have an S. You'll see that there are some cases in which I or some cases, some instances where I use uppercase. And that tends to be a call out to me that it's done with particular things. So in here, I have a whole number of consulting with time cards that can go to invoices. So I used that naming convention there with uppercase. A lot of the aggregate functions, and again, a lot of the modules do have reporting built in and live dashboards and that type of thing. So using those, again, usually when I use an uppercase with an underscore means that that's a way of grouping. And again, the naming convention in fields is mostly about grouping them for downstream programming changes and flexibility. And again, that's consistent. So we're looking at the client, but if we wanted to jump over to say something like inventory, that's another nice one. You can see again, C underscore, that means it's a calculation in that particular one. The downloads option, product related ones, again, not just notes or description of that type of thing. A product underscore, again, leaning into a naming convention that helps extending coding later on. And then jumping over to the relationship graph. Again, you can kind of see here that, hey, this is very nice. All the table occurrences are alphabetical, and they're even in groupings. And it's such a large number of fields that I have a subgrouping A through H and I through Z. And then again, labels on each one of them, anchor buoy as you go across. And again, even the anchor buoy has the naming convention of the lowercase of the anchor, the uppercase for the buoy. And then if it's not just a straight up, okay, I know that clients and old addresses is probably going to use the client ID. If it uses some other type of logic, I do the double underscore with a small notation afterwards, like say, okay, this is client's time card range. So you can tell pretty much by that to say, okay, well, this is somewhere in here we have a portal that has a range of a start date and an end date, and that's what this relationship supports. Let's see if there's anything else I should show here. And again, yeah, 55 tables inside of here, and it's pretty well organized. If I go up to the top, again, more notations, in here, a few leftovers again. And I guess one thing I did do is I did add staffing all as one thing, because I built in the ability for each user to have functionality that goes across. And I kind of moved all the staff off to the side just because that was probably the last thing that I was working on. But again, it's very organized. So it's an outlier condition into a convention, but it's organized well enough that you can adapt to it. And again, I'm just going to plow through these types of things. Underneath here, let's go ahead under our file and our manage. Let's just jump into the security. So one thing you'll see here is that we do have these users in here. This is to support a scripted account creation process. So again, you can kind of see that they're all lowercase, but you can add those in. So pretty easy to go back and forth. If we go into the advanced settings, again, you can kind of see the groupings inside of here. Again, easy to go across if you brought it across like in something like, say, you use the DDR in FileMaker to get it. It does help you see the relationships and things going back and forth there. Not a whole lot of things that you can do in that area. And however, if we go into, valueless, again, leaning into the anchor buoy type of methodology, in uppercase, I am saying this is the context for that value list. And then they are all alphabetical as it goes across. So again, does help it from a developer standpoint to go across. And these are 65 value lists that are within the solution. Moving on. Layouts, of course, you imagine there's a ton of layouts. and you'd be right. And these don't have folders because I actually built the core solution before folders, but it'd be easy enough to pop them in. But you can see that they are grouped. Um, and again, after the dashboards and the help, uh, they're alphabetical. So again, if you're saying, okay, I need to have something for invoices, you don't have to scan through different organizations and that type of thing. Just jump right down to where the I's start, and then there's a listing of them. And again, kind of anchor buoy, if it's a form view, if it's a list view, if it's a dialog box, if it's a report, if it's just a dev where you go back in and you make your different changes there, or have scripts that call a dev layout and go back again, well organized. And let's moving on. Probably to the last one, which would be the scripts. Again, now I did use the folders, and I am leaning in again to that whole anchor buoy type of methodology. So if you're wanting to have a script that for a particular layout, you know where to go because the layout is linked to an anchor and the script is linked to an anchor. And if we take a look at underneath the hood on one of those scripts, you can see that again I used the anchor in the front, and then after a very explanatory as it goes across. And let's go ahead and dive into one of the scripts. Again, a lot of commenting that's in there, organized groups. In this instance, a whole lot of, this is one script that for all the top buttons in the client's module. So if you wanted to change one of them, you don't have to look at them. Go right particular here, find out where your script parameter is, and then go from there. And again, just about every type of script step used is used in here somewhere, except for maybe some of the newer ones like the artificial intelligence and that type of thing. And again, if you lean into this convention, those kinds of changes or upgrades are easy to put in, easy to track, and easy for you or another developer to come back later, find out where you are, find out what's happening, make your changes, and move forward. So that's a quick look underneath the hood, and appreciate you taking the time to look at it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and let me know.